Welcome to The Better Life with Dr. Mary Ann Pinkston. Join Dr. Pinkston today as she teaches you how an integrative approach to health, combining holistic and contemporary medical information, can lead you to the better life. And now, here's your host, Dr. Mary Ann Pinkston.
Hello, everybody, and welcome in. I am Dr. Mary Ann Pinkston, and this is The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston. And as always, going to bring you some latest and greatest information, trying to keep the truth going out there about what's best for you and your health, but from a more integrative style, integrative medicine style. So we attack things from the root cause, as said. And of course, I have a great guest. You've seen her before. And if you haven't, you need to go back and watch our old shows because she's full of great information, and that is Laura Laval, and she is a registered dietitian and nutritionist, and this is very important, which she can explain for us, but it's very important because there are so many people out there who claim that they are certified and that they, understand and know their topic, but I tell you what, when you get somebody like Laura and all of her education is registered as she is the real deal. And we're going to do a little myth busting today. There's been a lot of controversy about certain foods, things like seed oils. So I think she brought up a great idea to clarify this topic, and I appreciate you being on. As always, Laura, welcome in.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. And I don't know how we do it, Mary Ann, but honestly, seed oils kind of are a little bit complicated of a topic. There's a lot of nuances.
There is, right?
I hope I can simplify it somewhat and help people understand it better and boil it down to some easy things to do to not make this such a difficult thing to address.
Well, don't you agree, though? That's kind of what we do these days, is complicate everything. I think a lot of people are very overwhelmed with what changes they need to make, what's real, what's not. And so I agree with you. I think
and any new thing that comes along, because I think, as you know, we're my husband and I developed the metabolic code. I did the diet part. He did the clinical part of it. And what it is, it's a platform to allow people to look into their health very deeply.
Yes.
And come out with a program that we can apply to help people move their health in better directions. And it's personalized to them.
Yes.
And not everybody has access to that. More and more integrative practitioners are out there. But when you're trying to problem solve on your own, and I think a lot of times people go, oh, maybe it's the seed oils. Oh, maybe it's this, the next new thing that everybody's talking about.
Next new thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And we have to stop. I think we have to stop doing that, because I think that's where we got into trouble, right? Because, you look back in the 90s and it was fat, right? Saturated fat. So we inundated our foods with carbohydrates and salt, those Snackwell's cookies and things like that to pull fat out, got rid of beef. I mean, that is just the trend. There's always a new trend. Yeah, ketogenic diets, where we just pick one thing and it's not one thing, and it really is way more simple than that. We can just choose to make some healthier changes and try to overwhelm ourselves, and I think eventually we'll find our way back to the right path. Seems we're going in that direction.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Well, so Go ahead.
Yeah, we kind of start with what are seed oils, and kind of give you a little bit of information. The thought is that all seed oils are very high in non-beneficial fatty acids. Okay, so some people might know. Okay, they equate seed oils with high omega-6.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of people know this messaging now, that you want to try and balance your omega-6 intake with omega-3, because if you go high omega-6, you could push your body into some inflammatory chemistry. Absolutely. That has been the thought. However, the studies are crazy on this. So I probably will be doing, like you said, a little bit of myth busting on seed oils, but not all seed oils are the extremely high levels of omega-6. That's what's crazy. And yet they're all demonized, know?
Yes.
So what are they? Do our bodies need them or not? Do we need the fatty acids in these oils? And then what is the found in the literature where there are risks, and what should we do? Bottom line, in our day-to-day, how can we address this fairly easily?
Yeah.
So
Good.
First of all, I thought, let's just talk a little bit about the different oils. For an example, okay?
Great.
Canola oil is a very, very demonized oil. Now, listen to the fatty acid breakdown. Okay, let's compare things like to olive oil, for example. Okay, olive oil is not a seed oil. Olive oil is made from the olives themselves.
Mm-hmm.
High in monounsaturated fatty acids. Those are omega-9s. Olive oil is a very beneficial oil, but oddly, I'll give you the breakdown. It's 83% omega-9. So that's almost everything that's in olive oil is monounsaturated. It contains an average of about 15% omega-6, so there are some omega-6s in it, and about 10% omega-3. So that's fairly high in omega-3, which is a good anti-inflammatory fat that everybody needs.
Right.
The number one source of omega-3s are fish, okay? So if you want to really get your omega-3, you want to get those ratios better balanced, you really have to figure out how to do some fish or else take a fish oil supplement.
Correct.
And that's the truth. Okay. In fact, can I back up just a little bit? Well, no, I'll save this thought for later when we come down to what to do, okay? But I do want to preface one thing. When it comes to your health, in our practice for personalizing, people's nutrition programs, seed oil intake is like a very last thing that we would even consider or worry ourselves with. Because most people, it's not the biggest thing driving them down a road to ill health. We address first and foremost insulin resistance. Is your body able to handle carbohydrate intake without going super high in your postprandial glycemic response? We've talked about that at length, too much glucose and insulin after meals. That is so pro-inflammatory, it's not even funny.
Absolutely.
And the same with a person's gut health being a really huge influence, and are they in a situation where they have an imbalanced microbiome that's creating a lot of problems, including immune, reactivities to foods and environmental allergens and stuff. That's also extremely pro-inflammatory. So we're going to look at those two great big issues first. So there's testing you can do to see if you're in balance with your omega-6 and omega-3. We don't even do it, right? Because we don't need it. We can get people well without it.
Right.
What we do is we just counsel on, how can you address this so that you're likely to be keeping yourself in balance pretty easily.
Yes.
But I want to compare, canola oil, because that's really demonized. Canola oil is, remember I said olive oil is 83% omega-9. Canola oil is about 55% on average, 50 to 60% monounsaturated. So that's the primary fat, is the same beneficial oil that's in olive oil, but it's just not as high. Omega-9s have been found to help insulin sensitivity, believe it or not.
Yes.
So that's where the old, Italian practice of taking your bread and dipping it in the olive oil and then eating it, it actually does hold down the glycemic response. And it's not just because it's a fat and it's slowing down release of the carbs. It's a benefit of omega-9s themselves.
Wow.
That's the primary fat in canola oil.
Interesting.
It's only about 10 to 13% omega-6, which is crazy. It shows the range being anywhere from 6% to 14% omega-6 canola oil.
I'm surprised.
And get this, an average of 10% omega-3.
Okay.
So it's one of the highest omega-3 oils. I think it is the highest,
Right.
So we always say if you can afford and can find organic canola oil, it's actually not a bad oil. The problem with a lot of these, what people are calling seed oils. So your canola, corn, grapeseed, sunflower, safflower, and soybean oil.
Yeah.
The inexpensive ones that are in the supermarkets are usually processed using a chemical solvent called hexane.
Yeah.
So that can be easily removed. It's very trace residue amounts that may be left in the oil.
Okay.
The bigger problem with canola is if it is not organic canola,
Okay.
it's a GMO crop.
Yes.
That means that there's a lot of pesticides. So that's really the bigger problem with a conventional canola oil, in my mind, is the pesticide residues that will be in there.
Okay.
When it comes to the hexane itself, there are no human studies showing that it is a carcinogen. There's not a lot of human studies to begin with. There's one study that's often cited. It's not considered to be a high quality study.
Understood.
But what we have are the animal, rats and mice, when they're exposed to high levels of hexanes.
Right.
High levels, key word.
Yes.
Some studies have shown it to cause cancer and some not.
Interesting.
So it's still not even resounding, So the International Association for Research on Cancer doesn't list hexane as a carcinogen for humans.
Gotcha.
So it's really not even the hexane, because it's just trace amounts that could be in there. They really are very effective at getting all of it out. It's
easy to do, I'm sure.
It's easy to do,
Okay. Interesting.
Where hexane can cause cancer are for the workers that can get exposed to hexane in manufacturing if you inhale it.
Okay.
If you inhale fumes off of it. It's in, glues and adhesives and things like that. So that's where it can cause health issues, is inhalation. Okay, so canola oil, I'm not hesitant to use it, especially it's got to be organic, because we don't want the pesticide.
It's a good cooking oil, so it makes it easier than olive, certainly. And
it is.
Right?
Yep. Okay, so your highest omega-6 oils are safflower and grapeseed oil.
Okay.
So those are the two that, they have very high smoke points. So we used to recommend those for cooking. Now I've kind of shied away from it because avocado oils become more available. And it's also got a high heat tolerance.
Yes.
So soybean oil, let's look at that. Okay. Soybean oil is pretty high omega-6. It's 23% the monounsaturated fat. It's 53% omega-6. That's not as high as grapeseed. Grapeseed is 70% omega-6.
Wow.
But it also has 7 to 8% omega-3. So it is kind of balanced by a higher omega-3 with soybean oil.
Okay.
One thing I'll say about soybean oil, it is a little bit hard to find it organic. Like canola you can find. Soybean oil organic is a little bit hard to find.
Isn't soy in general just hard to find organic?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Okay. Corn oil. It's another really high omega-6 one. And again, you don't see organic corn oil out there very often at all. So we just kind of, Now, what about sunflower oil? Because that you usually see things like cottonseed oil. Oh, and I didn't put that on here.
Yeah, cottonseed, I was wondering.
Cottonseed oil, sunflower oil, and what's the other for things like potato chips,
Is that the safflower or?
Safflower, I think, yeah. So sunflower oil, also fairly high monounsaturated fat. The beneficial one, omega-9, that helps insulin sensitivity. That's 65% monounsaturated fat in sunflower oil. 26% omega-6. So again, compared to the other real high ones, that's pretty low.
Yeah.
But it does not have any omega-3.
None.
Some of the very trace amounts.
Interesting.
So I want to talk a little bit more about the fatty acids themselves and what they do for our bodies. So Does our body need some omega-6 fat? Yes. Our body uses omega-6 fats and omega-3 fats to form our cell membranes.
Yes.
So that's where we need these fats. Your body takes phospholipids and incorporates those into that membrane with the other fatty acids, the omega-6s and the omega-3s. Omega-9s are not used in cell membranes. So your body can even make some omega-9s. You don't have to get it in the diet, but it's considered, it used to be considered kind of a neutral fat. If you were taking in monounsaturated fats, say in olive oil, because it's the highest, it's neutral. It's not contributing to an imbalance in the 6:3 omega ratio or anything like that. Right. But then they learned that it helps insulin sensitivity. So, it's actually a benefit to consume it, even though our body can make its own omega-9.
Okay.
Interestingly.
Yeah, it is.
So our bodies do need these fatty acids. And I want to switch over now. So I hope that helps people understand kind of how this goes with the breakdown of these oils.
Very much. I learned a lot. Thanks, Laura. That's amazing.
Okay. Now, what they used to say is that omega-6 fatty acids went down a pathway to making something called arachidonic acid, which in general, when I first learned about arachidonic acid, we thought bad, bad, bad. It just is pro-inflammatory. Actually, now they're finding out, interesting, let me get to my next slide. There's a study that shows that, have you heard, Marianne, of athletes taking arachidonic acid as a supplement?
Yes.
Because arachidonic acid helps our body make muscle, believe it or not.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So,
new trend, one of the new fad now, that.
Yes. Yeah. So there's also a study, and this was a large study, 3,500 adults. They looked at the circulating fatty acids in the system. And they looked at a baseline, then they looked again in 6 years and 30 years. And what they found was circulating arachidonic acid and something called docosapentaenoic acid, which is a fat from fish oil in the omega-3s, but not other polyunsaturated fats, that's these omega-6s, are associated with a slower rate of cognitive decline. Arachidonic acid.
Nice, yes.
Need it for brain health as well as muscle.
Mm-hmm.
And omega-6 is the one that when you consume it, it goes on to, it's like a precursor to arachidonic acid.
Interesting.
Arachidonic acid then goes on to make something called prostaglandins. It makes two different prostaglandins. Yeah. One of them is anti-inflammatory, one of them is pro-inflammatory.
Absolutely.
And one of the ways you keep it from going down the pro-inflammatory pathway is just to make sure you're taking in a good amount of omega-3s.
Interesting. Balance it out.
The other way, and this is why insulin sensitivity is so important, is to control your blood glucose and insulin. When you have high blood glucose, it shunts down toward the pro-inflammatory pathway.
Interesting.
And that's why when I see people that tell me, those seed oils, I definitely feel it. I feel more pain or more inflamed when I eat them. I know they probably are not in good control with their blood sugar.
Interesting.
And
that is profound and huge. Yeah. Makes perfect sense.
So again, these omega-6s, you need both of them for your cell membranes, and omega-6 makes arachidonic acid, which isn't all bad. There are benefits to having some arachidonic acid. So why are we totally demonizing any omega-6?
Right.
The thing I would like people to remember is the vast majority of people, if you're not just still in the, habit of using corn oil or something to cook with.
Right.
The main sources of seed oils are ultra processed foods, junk foods, snack foods.
Yep.
So the people that have the higher intake, really high intakes, tend to eat a lot of ultra processed foods or junk foods,
Yes.
And they tend to not be healthy eaters. So then they're not eating fish and getting in their omega-3s. So how do you think about this? And I want to cite some other studies. Omega-3 and omega-6 intake are inversely related to what we used to call non-alcoholic fatty liver disease.
Correct.
So that's about to become epidemic. It's becoming epidemic, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Now they call it metabolic. What is it? Associated steatohepatitis.
Exactly. another long.
You're metabolically out of balance, and that's making fat go in your liver.
Yes.
And the number one thing making fat go in people's liver is, again, over intake of sugars, especially, but sugars and carbs generally, refined especially, just packs the fat into the liver because you're taking in so much glucose, especially if you're inactive, not getting a good amount of exercise. So those glucose molecules aren't getting burned for energy. Your body doesn't have anything to do with them, so it converts them to fat and they store in the liver.
Absolutely. And so why is that dangerous? I mean, we're going to go a little off topic, but it's important, I think. I want people to understand why that's dangerous.
Well, down the road, it leads to liver failure. So it's the number one reason people might need a liver transplant.
Absolutely. And it's not everybody gets a liver transplant, and it's a horrible way to die.
It's a horrible procedure to go through.
And it's a horrible procedure.
Any kind of organ transplant is really rough because then they have to put you on the drugs that keep you from rejecting it, which what do those do? Those hold down your immune system.
Yes.
So it won't reject the liver, but then you're prone to getting infection and other illnesses. Absolutely. So it's a really awful thing.
And it is preventable, treatable.
Totally preventable.
Yes.
Very few people have it for any kind of genetic reason. Very few.
Absolutely.
It's all lifestyle.
Yes, absolutely. Well, what about then just vegetable? You're at the store, you're inundated with all the oils on the shelf. And, vegetable oil was and Crisco's and things like that used to be the things that, grandma has used to bake and cook for years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And here's another little kind of a factoid. So let me cite one more study that will open up why that is an issue. Okay.
Very good.
There's a study that looked at intake of omega-6 fatty acids and found that when people were in glycemic control, no higher than 6.5 on a hemoglobin A1C, which even 6 and up is not controlled. But anything under 6.5 was the omega-6 intake was inversely correlated with hypertension.
Wow.
So you take in some omega-6 and your risk of hypertension would go down.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
If you're not in glycemic control and you take in a lot of omega-6, your risk for hypertension goes up.
That is incredible.
So a lot of this interaction with omega-6 fats, again, that's why I started saying,
yes,
first and foremost, you better make sure if you really want to optimize your health that you're in good glycemic control.
Wonderful.
And if you're in good glycemic control, it looks like probably you don't even have to worry about lowering omega-6 fats so much.
Interesting. Wow.
Now, there are a lot of studies. Let me get this up here. The vast majority of the studies show that there is no significant impact from varying intakes of linoleic and linolenic acids. That's omega-3s and omega-6s.
Okay.
On markers of inflammation that have to do with blood clotting and coronary heart disease risk. Okay. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So fibrinogen, no significant, doesn't go up. There's no significant increase for cardiovascular diseases. Okay.
Yes.
That's high, low, all over the place. It just, they don't create heart disease risk.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. And I have I know if I ask this question, this is going to send us into another area, but I think it'll be important. But I think what we'll need to do is take a short break. I want people to understand where they can find you and more information, because you guys have a wealth of information and assistance, I guess the best way to put it, that you see patients and you talk to people one-on-one about these things. Where can they find you?
Well, we practice at Laval Performance Health in Cedar Park, Texas now. Yeah. So that's our practice. You can find that online. I have a Facebook page. I talk a lot about glucose issues and controlling carbs and controlling allergens. It's Laura Laval RD. And Laura Laval Nutritionist, I think, brings that up. I'm not a big presence yet on my Instagram page for my professional page, but I do plan to get that going. Yeah. I know that's been long overdue. But that's the main two ways you can find us. And you can look at our website, metaboliccode.com, to find out more about these metabolic issues that we talk so much about.
Absolutely. Which I'm very, very proud of. You guys are wonderful. You and Jim Laval, your husband, have worked very, very hard at getting the right information out there and getting personalized medicine to people. Yeah. And you can find some of Laura and my previous shows on drpbetterlife.com. We've got plenty of them now. I love it. And so drpbetterlife.com, and I will have some information about how to find her on the website. And so just take a look at drpbetterlife.com. We're going to take a short break. Be right back.
Depression, anxiety, low energy, weakness, these are just some symptoms of low B12 levels. And the absorbable B12 folate supplement that's helping people declare victory over depression symptoms is De Novo Plus B12 by Magna Pharmaceuticals. Patients with symptoms of depression often exhibit low levels of folate and vitamin B12. The human body needs sufficient folate intake to produce the essential neurotransmitters serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. These neurotransmitters alleviate feelings of sadness, anxiety, and gloom. What makes De Novo Plus B12 so successful? De Novo Plus B12 contains readily absorbable folate and B12. That means it's more successful at correcting the root cause of your deficiency, not just the symptoms. Whether you are suffering with low energy, depression, fatigue, or anxiety, you owe it to yourself to learn more at magnaweb.com. That's magnaweb.com. Please let us know at checkout that you heard about De Novo Plus B12 on The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining in. And thank you, Laura Laval, for joining in, and really fantastic education about seed oils, but really focusing on the larger myths and controversies about what people are buying and cooking with, and why it's so important not to hyper focus on things that may not be as important as other topics. But I think what I wanted to ask you about is, now that we've talked about the seed oils, is supplementation. So we've got to be eating correctly and exercising, looking at lifestyle. We've got to look at the larger picture. It's not just about seed oils. It's not, just about a certain vitamin, a certain, special diet or whatnot. It's everything that you do to put your life together, which we've spent a lot of time on. But people do take supplements. So I'm somebody who doesn't like to eat fish. I didn't grow up eating seafood. I just don't like fish. So I'm allergic to some fish, but I, would look at taking supplements then, omegas. Mm-hmm. And so where is some of the truth in that if you're somebody who has to supplement?
Yeah, the main thing, and I do feel that people should supplement with fish oil if they do not eat fish. You need to get those omega-3s in.
Great.
And it's hard to do from even high omega-3 oils, like the canola oil,
right?
Because they're far outweighed by the other fatty acids. So it's like you're taking it in, but you're taking it in with the other ones that sort of, compete with it a little bit.
Right.
So I do, but what we have found with fish intake is, you have to make sure that you get a brand that says on their labeling or on their website that they detox the heavy metals out, because, we're dealing with polluted bodies of water now. Yes. So when people eat more fish, we do have some people that come in that are pretty much what that's called pescatarian. That's the only animal protein they eat. Mm-hmm. And we always check them for heavy metals, and it's usually high. So, it's sad that we can't eat more fish without fear, a little somewhat, that we could be increasing mercury and other, heavy metals. So especially mercury in the fish. So you want a company that, like one of the retail brands that I know of that was one of the first ones to make sure that they removed the heavy metals from the oils was Nordic Naturals. But there are a lot of professional supplement companies that make sure they have the fish oil is the heavy metals are removed. So that's the most important thing.
If you're comfortable, you're welcome to name a few. I don't necessarily align anywhere. I want people to get the best of the best, but if there's something you align with, that is wonderful. Please.
I mean, most of the professional companies, so we make a fish oil product. It's definitely heavy metals removed, yes. Metabolic Code brand. Yes. Thorn or orthomolecular, Douglas Labs. Those are professional product lines that have been around for years, very high quality.
Good. Thank you.
So I would trust any of those. Yeah.
Thank you. People are looking. That's great.
Yes, they are. Yeah. So I want to finish with one thought real quick about the heart disease issue, okay, with the seed oils. Because over the years, there's been studies that have said, look, if you eat more oils and you try to lower your intake of saturated fat, so remove saturated fat and replace with omega-6 or, omega-6, omega-3 oils, your risk for cardiovascular disease goes down precipitously.
Yeah.
And reason why and there was and this has been over the years, it's been study after study, and there was just another big one done in, it was published in 2023 Journal of Lipids, when people lowered, this is a little bit different. When people lowered their omega-6 intake, arachidonic acid did not go down. People thinking arachidonic acid is bad. It didn't even, lowering your omega-6 intake didn't even lower it that much, which is interesting. Yeah. But the one I wanted to cite was 2024 British Journal of Nutrition, increasing omega-6 while reducing saturated fat, precipitous drop in risk for cardiovascular disease. Now, why is this important right now? Because what's going on, Marianne? Yeah. People are trying to avoid the seed oils, and what are they going to now? Tallow. Yep. Saturated fats.
Yep.
And nature does not support that as a move.
Wow.
It really does not.
Wow.
And I think it's because a lot of people aren't in good glycemic control. There have been a lot of studies that have shown problems with all fats, even the seed oils and the saturated fat, when we're not in glycemic control.
Correct.
There's less tolerance.
Yes.
So I think it's related to that. What we do in our practice is we have people test for the ApoE3 and 4 genetic SNPs. Yes. That is a for sure way to know if you're going to be intolerant of saturated fat.
Interesting. Yes.
The people with ApoE4 genes do not tolerate saturated fat. So I really encourage people, before you just go wild on saturated fats, you should look at that. Absolutely. And it's not just from, animal sources, it's coconut oil as well.
Okay.
Because that's high saturated fat oil.
Yes.
So, and we've seen people, send their cholesterol sailing with, coconut oil too.
Absolutely.
So it's not, and this is the other thing. People are saying, well, cholesterol is not bad for you. High cholesterol isn't bad. Unoxidized, it's not, maybe, but oxidized is bad for you. oxidized LDL is very much known to be a factor that increases risk for cardiovascular disease.
Correct.
And how are you going to stop yourself from being oxidized in this polluted world?
Right.
It's very difficult.
Very, very difficult.
You don't want to over intake antioxidant supplements because you don't want to totally suppress your inflammatory response because you need some inflammation to fight disease.
Yes.
That's people don't understand. So people think, oh, if I just slam a bunch of antioxidants. I'm not against taking some, but you don't want to overdo it either.
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay.
So now getting down to what do we do then? What do we do on this issue? Oh, and I want to point out some other things. So I don't want people to think I'm sitting here saying there's absolutely no problems being seen in the literature with seed oils.
Right.
So there is an increased risk for depression when omega-6 intake is too high.
Yeah.
There is an increased risk for attention deficit. There's increased risk for dermatitis with too much omega-6.
Yep.
Asthma.
Yep.
I think there was some studies showing maybe prostate cancer risk going up a little bit with too much omega-6.
Wow.
And I believe that they're now advising people with MS to really watch their omega-6 intake.
Wow. Really? Okay.
It's not that there's nothing out there to suggest that they could be a problem at all.
Yeah.
There is. But if you are a person that you are trying to watch and not overeat junk food and ultra processed foods, that's a very good starting point. Also, your tolerance of the omega-6s relies on you being in good glycemic control. So make sure you're in good glycemic control. That's first and foremost. Then watch your ultra-processed foods. I like potato chips.
Mm-hmm.
What do? If I'm going to buy a bag of potato chips, I buy the ones cooked in avocado oil. Okay. So this is the third thing I recommend people do.
Nice.
For your home cooking, rely on the combination of olive oil and avocado oil.
Yeah.
Because olive oil generally is not a heat-tolerant oil. It's better for salad dressings or just really light sautéing. It's not heat-tolerant.
Correct.
So use olive oil for that, and then use avocado oil for your cooking. You can even deep fry an avocado oil.
Yeah.
Really heat-tolerant, in other words.
Very, very good flavor, too. Very good. Even if you don't like avocados, don't knock it. It's really not.
Yeah, very good flavor. Now, the thing you have to watch there is avocados don't tend to be a super high pesticide crop, but I still hedge the bet on going ahead and trying to get a brand that doesn't use the hexane extraction method. Okay. So there's a brand that's sold at Costco. You see it in all the stores. It's called Chosen. It's a pressed, expeller press. So that means they don't use the hexane to extract it.
Okay.
They press it out of the food.
Gotcha.
Now, there are some purists that will say go a step above that and look for cold pressed. And that is probably the actual top organic cold pressed, would be the best. But I'm just saying, if I want to have a potato chip, you're not going to find that.
Right. But
you can go the step better by a lot of chips now are made with avocado oil, and that helps a lot.
It does.
So, so that's easy. We don't have to and then that saves a little bit of room for whatever you're going to get when you eat out, or whatever you're going to get when you're eating somebody else's house, or you're going to eat a little bit of junk food. You know what I mean? Yeah. You control because you don't use it in your house. Use the two healthiest oils. So that makes it easy. And that's what most people are doing now.
Absolutely. And I'll make the point too that all these labs that you have discussed are readily available. But most physicians really don't test. They'll do the very simple, basic Framingham, lipid panel. They'll check a basic metabolic panel, which, has a glucose level, maybe an A1C, but you can expand upon your cholesterol level, checking those ApoE. You can even go into apolipoprotein A and B. You can do an omega panel, but checking your genetics is better, but checking your insulin levels, that A1C, watching your triglycerides and other things.
That's not hard at all.
No, not at all.
And a lot of people, for glucose and insulin, the only thing I will say is you have to be careful, because a lot of times a conventional, somebody not trained in integrative, right? Conventionally practicing physicians will not begin to worry about the glucose at all until, it's around 100.
Right.
Sometimes they don't even say anything then. And 100 to 125 is prediabetes.
Absolutely.
So really what people need to understand, if your fasting glucose is trending high, above anything above 85, it starts to increase risk for diabetes. This was a huge Kaiser Permanente study that Jim and I cite all the time. For every percent over 85, every number, 1 point over 85, your risk for diabetes increases by 6%.
Crazy.
So by the time you get up into the 90s, you're a 60% increased risk for diabetes.
Isn't that insane? That's considered normal in many places,
And the bad part about it, you can be sustaining damage to like the retina of your eye in those even before people get to the diabetes level. And this is something, when you're young, you're running around, you think, I'm not going to go blind. But you'd be surprised how many in healthcare, how many people we see that became blind because they weren't controlling their blood sugar.
And just in insulin.
Early enough.
Yeah. And I kind of formulated a thought now that diabetics that, receive treatment and are monitored, can avoid all of those outcomes as well as they're monitored and treated, but nobody's treating and monitoring the insulin resistance area. And I think that's more dangerous than just developing, in some cases, outright diabetes, because it's not being treated and monitored. It's not being taken seriously at all.
Yeah, I'll never forget a patient we had years ago in our Cincinnati practice, and it was a lovely man, and he was going blind in one eye. And he was like, the doctors can't figure it out. And I said, why? We can tell you why. Your blood sugar is always 112.
Right.
That is a level that causes damage to tissues in your body.
Yeah.
And the retina is a prone tissue.
Yes, very.
And he just happened to be a candy lover. We were trying to get him to realize you can't keep eating all that sugar.
Absolutely.
Now the messaging is out there a lot more. So I think, people listen. But what I was going to say about if you're trending high on your glucose, you need to look at a postprandial level, because fasting is, you didn't eat for 12 hours.
Right. Could be falsely low, honestly.
It could be, so you're recovering in those hours. Yes. You need hours and hours, and you come back down pretty decent. But if you're trending high, like 95 and up especially, make sure you look at the 2-hour postprandial glucose and insulin.
Absolutely.
And almost always when we look at that, when people are trending high, then the 2-hour is really high on the glucose and the insulin both.
Absolutely. And for those of you not sure, that is 2 hours after a meal. So that's the best time to check. That's when your body it'll expose itself if you are.
And, I'm still waiting for a really user-friendly, continuous glucose monitor. People can get a lot of insight from those.
Absolutely.
But the technology, I think, is still just a little bit off. We need a couple more years for it to get really solid. Right now, it just looks like they're going all over the place, and it's hard to tell what's happening. So it's a little bit easier to discern that with just regular blood tests for right now. Absolutely. But I have had a lot of people that have had luck with the continuous glucose monitors. I've had, Marianne, you've sat in the A4M conferences Absolutely. That we lecture in. And so we've had physicians hear our lectures and decide to go out and check these things out. And even using just, a glucometer to check for 2 hours. Mm-hmm. And I've had physicians come back to me and say, you know what? I checked a lot of people like smoothies, thinking they're really a healthy thing. And they should be, except they're enormous and there's a lot of fruit and usually they throw a little bit of sugar in. And, they come back and say, I could not believe how high my blood sugar was.
Absolutely.
After I drank that smoothie,
Be healthy. No.
Yeah.
Dangerous. Yes.
Yep. So I love vegetable juices, and you can put a little bit of fruit. Yeah. But even then, I think a small shot is better because you get a nutrient boost without putting so much, they're natural sugars.
Agreed.
But they still can elevate blood sugar.
They do. And these are the things that you guys go over in your program at Metabolic Code at LaValle Performance Health there in Cedar Park. Mm-hmm. So where can people find you? This has been a great program. Thank you, Laura. This is amazing. Where can people find more about you and your program?
MetabolicCode.com is our, and this is another, an interesting study I just saw the other day, Marianne. Only 12% of Americans, according to this study, are metabolically healthy.
Isn't that crazy?
12%.
That means 88% of
come on, if any way possible,
88%. Yeah. We're in danger. We are in danger.
Yes, I mean, our Metabolic Code company is there for that purpose, for integrative practitioners to use to have a quicker way to get to a really good understanding of where a person is metabolically. So people can read more about that there. And then I'm on my Facebook page, Laura LaValle, nutritionist. And then we have LaValle Performance Health in Cedar Park, Texas, if people are interested in trying to get themselves evaluated.
Which is a must, and we encourage it. All of that will be.
You can also, and I'll put in a little plug for A4M.
Please.
A4M is one of the best educators on integrative medicine topics out there. True. And they, on their website, you can look up to find a practitioner that does integrative and functional. There's all different names for it now.
Yes.
But root cause, health evaluations. Yes. You can look up on the A4M website to find someone in your area.
Thank you. And that's the letter A, the number 4, the letter M.com. Mm-hmm. And I will make sure that all of this information is on the website, and that is drpbetterlife.com. Plus, Laura and I have a few previous shows of just as intense and wonderful information. So please go back and take a look, as well as all my other shows, but drpbetterlife.com. And I absolutely appreciate the wonderful and beautiful and incredibly intelligent Laura LaValle joining me today. Laura, thank you so much. Any last words that you can think of before we jet out?
No, but I do appreciate the chance to go over this topic in some depth.
Yes.
I do lecture at A4M, and I have to cram a lot into those couple of hours. So this is a little bit deeper dive and I like being able to do that. So thanks for having me on.
Oh my gosh, it's an honor, and you will be back. So we will do more. And I love the education that you give me and everybody at A4M and out there, and all of my world out here in audience. Everybody, thank you for joining in. I appreciate it. Take care of each other out there, and we'll see you again soon.
You've been enjoying The Better Life with Dr. Marianne Pinkston. For more information, go to drpthebetterlife.com. That's drpthebetterlife.com. And listen next week for The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston.